Christian tradition says there are 4 Gospels. Archaeologists say there are more, many more, hidden and banned by the early church. What is in these newly discovered scriptures, and why were they forbidden for centuries? Cutting-edge technology reveals the secret history of Christianity, buried in the lost Gospels. For nearly 2,000 years, everything Christians knew about Jesus came from the Gospels of the Christian Bible, accounts by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The discovery of the lost Gospels also reveals a secret battle, now forgotten but once vital. A battle for the soul of Christianity. On the one side is a devout group calling for a direct spiritual relationship with God, with their own set of Gospels. On the other side, a growing hierarchy of Orthodox Christianity that accepts only 4 Gospels. The result of this battle would determine the future of Christianity. But at the very beginning days of the faith, there literally was no gospel and no Christian Bible. Christianity begins around the year 30 AD with the group who follow the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. By the year 200 AD, there were not just the 4 Gospels, there may have been as many as 50. The surprising fact is that the Christian Bible as we know it didn't really emerge until 300 years after the death of Jesus. And the man who determined the content of the Christian Bible had a powerful agenda that had little to do with religion. In 312 AD, a Roman emperor named Constantine, a pagan who believed in multiple gods, claimed to have had a vision of the cross before a battle. After his victory, he became a convert to the religion of Christianity, eventually making it the semi-official state religion. Constantine wanted to harness this new religion in order to unify a Roman Empire that was falling apart. At that time, Christianity was a loosely organized, a collection of churches with diverse beliefs and diverse scriptures. The emperor intended to change that. In 325 AD, Emperor Constantine convenes the Council of Nicaea to decide the basic tenets of Christianity. He brings together the most powerful church leaders from around the world to discuss legalizing a formal Christian religion. The goal of Constantine's council was to unify the faith, both religiously and politically. After weeks of debate, the various bishops and priests agree on a set of principles that unify all of Christianity and place the religion firmly under the control of the emperor.
And he then used his authority to say, okay, guys, this is it. Things got drastically changed under Constantine. We have a complete redefinition of how God is to be understood. God now is the protector of the state, which then seeks to use the religion for its own purposes, to unify everything.
Constantine also unified the Christian Gospels and limited the Gospels he considered fit for the state religion. Though the Nicene Council did not officially decide on the content of the Christian Bible, Constantine made it clear which Gospels he considered acceptable. He commissioned the creation of 50 copies of a Christian Bible, which contained only the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What happened to the other Gospels? In 382 AD, another church council literally banned Christians from reading them. Under the Christian Emperor Theodosius, all other Gospels were considered heresy, were banned or buried, their owners arrested and killed.
There were all these other texts that real believing Christians loved. And for a long time, it must have been read. until the bishops came around to say, thou shalt not read this, but thou shalt read that.
What was contained in these lost Gospels? What made them so threatening that they had to be banned or destroyed? No one knew for nearly 2,000 years. But in 1886, the Gospel of Peter emerged from the sands of the Egyptian desert. Other astonishing discoveries followed in the 20th century. These lost Gospels reveal a very different view of Jesus, a different approach to spirituality, and a lost version of Christianity. And perhaps the most surprising of these lost scriptures was the Gospel of Thomas.
The Gospel of Thomas is a fascinating document. It was translated from Greek to Coptic, and it possesses sayings of Jesus. And a lot of the things that are contained within the Gospel of Thomas are also found in the New Testament. The difference being that the Gospel of Thomas is a Gnostic gospel.
The Gnostics were a sect of early Christianity that had a deep emphasis on mysticism and that disagreed with many of the precepts of the emerging Christian hierarchy.
Gnostics were saved by secret knowledge. You were a true follower of Jesus if you understood this secret knowledge.
Gnosis is a Greek word meaning knowledge, and Gnostic means one who knows.
They were essentially mystics in many ways. And if they could find that peace of God within, that true humanity within, why did they need to have any priest or any bishop? They could march to the beat of their own drummer.
The Gospel of Thomas suggests we can all become sons of God. It says, when you know yourselves, then you will be known and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. The Gospel of Thomas calls for a personal connection to God without the need for organized churches, priests, and bishops.
There were lots of priests and bishops who took offense at these Gnostics, who had their own way, had their direct kind of line, their red telephone to the divine. That did not sit well with the authority figures in the church.
And that may be the reason the Gospel of Thomas was considered heresy. The independence of Gnostic beliefs undermined the church hierarchy.
When some people wanted to communicate some idea that they felt was true or important for the early Christian movement to hear, they wouldn't say it in their own voice, but they would say it in the voice of someone who they understood to have authority.
In that sense, the gospel is not a real account, but a forgery. But that brings up a point that is important and disturbing. If the gospel is a forgery, then the gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are also forgeries.
We don't know who those authors were, but they were written in the name of Matthew and Mark and Luke and John, because these were the great folks of the past.
As the Gnostic Christians grew more defiant, the Orthodox Church powers began planning to strike back. Before the Council of Nicaea, Christianity was not a structured organization. For its first 300 years, it was a diverse faith with various beliefs and various gospels. But by the year 300 AD, the Gnostic movement within the religion was seen as a threat to the hierarchy of priests and bishops. The Gnostics and their gospels emphasized a personal relationship with God, without the need of a priest or an organized religious body.
They really believed that there was something within, that they had a direct kind of access to the divine. They didn't really need to have priests and bishops. They didn't have to listen to that kind of authority. It's rather fascinating to imagine what might have happened at Nicaea and after that, if a Gnostic perspective might have carried the day. I would imagine that there would have been more of a mystical sense, more of an inner sense of what it means to be motivated as a follower of Jesus. It would have been a very different church with different characteristics and a different kind of sense.
But the Gnostics did not carry the day at Nicaea. For millennia, the Holy Bible with the 4 Gospels of the New Testament has been held as the true story of Jesus. Some believe the lost Gospels reveal the road not taken for Christianity. Others believe the road was not taken for a reason.
History is written by the winners.
Other don't. There were all these other texts that real believing Christians loved. And for a long time, it must have been read until the bishops came around to say, thou shalt not read this, but thou shalt read that.
What was contained in these lost Gospels? What made them so threatening that they had to be banned or destroyed?